Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and our 40-second coffee stream. And today, sorry we're half an hour late in getting started. I had a meeting at my kids' school, and well, that threw me for a loop for a second. I've got the video on in my headphones, and here, let's pause that. I had a meeting with my kids' teacher and the special ed department, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But let's say hi to Opinionated Scotsman and Robert Burke. Hi, you guys. Hope you guys are doing great. Please forgive the quality of my voice today. I have become sick with the chest cold that everybody had. But it hasn't sunk in its claws too badly yet, so we shall forge ahead. So we've been waiting for a call back from this place called Kids Ability because our oldest son has a little bit of trouble getting himself understood, so we just wanted to get him a little bit of help with his speech. Like, he's not too far behind, but it's at the point where it's frustrating him, and then he doesn't listen properly because he's frustrated. So I got a meeting with coffee. Yes, I have my coffee right here. So I went to the school to speak to his kindergarten teacher and the special ed person, and they first asked me if he had a diagnosis, and I said no. And then they asked me if he was on medication, and I had to bite my tongue back from saying he's fucking 4. What medication do you possibly want him on? And instead I said no. And then we started discussing about how he has this tendency. He used to at home. He doesn't do this now, but he used to throw himself on the floor and bang his head on the floor as a temper tantrum. And we stopped paying attention to it. We ignored it. And he stopped doing it at home, but he's still doing it at school. And the special ed teacher actually asked a consultant whether they needed a helmet for him. And myself and the other consultant was like, no, just ignore him. So I reiterated that myself. I'm like, you gotta ignore him when he does that. He fucking checks over his shoulder to see if he's being looked at when he pulls that shit. He's not a stupid kid. He's doing it because you guys freak out over it. And then it came down to, well, how do you get him to follow instructions? And it's like, or how do you get him to do what you want him to do? And I said, don't ask him to do it. Tell him to do it. This is like, and I'm sitting there going, you guys are fucking educators. You guys are like, I really should have said this. You guys are educators. I'm sitting here with a special education person and a kindergarten teacher, and you're asking me how to get a child to listen to you. First of all, stop asking him to do shit and tell him to do shit. He's 4. Sorry, but 4-year-olds really don't get a say in shit. They do what they need to be doing, what they're told, because they don't know any better. And the funniest thing ever was, they said to me, well, we're developing this safety plan because when we have, excuse me, when we have students who don't listen very well, and we have to physically go and put them in timeout or take their hand and guide them back to wherever they are if they've run away. We need a safety plan written out You're about 3 minutes late, Jacob. Not much. Demand. Yes. You demand that they do something. You don't go, can you please come over here? You go, hey, come here. You know what I mean? You don't, like, and I used going to the potty as an example. I'm like, you don't ask him if he has to go to the potty, then he'll say no and he'll have an accident. You tell him, go potty. Go to the bathroom. So apparently they, with any students that, as they say, have trouble listening, they need a written safety plan that needs to be signed by the parents so that they can have permission to basically put their hands on your child and like physically put them in timeout or take them by the hand and bring them back where they need to be. And in order to write out this safety plan, the Board of Education for my region insists that they develop what's called an individual education plan, which is set up for people who have either a physical disability like I did and do, or a learning disability. So in order to develop this safety plan, which, oh, hi, Churchy. So basically, in order to develop this plan that enables them to basically do what they're supposed to do and like physically, put their hands on the kids' shoulders and get them into timeout, or grab them by the hand and bring them back to the activity or whatever. They need our fucking permission, mine and Pinkalo's signed permission, and they need an individual education plan as though he was a learning disabled or physically disabled kid. Have the schools been sued that much by parents whose little angels couldn't possibly be doing anything wrong? Hello, Brad Young. It's craziness. It's like, dude, you need signed permission to do your job? Have schools been that fucking, have they been sued into submission? That's insane. So hence the title for today. Oi, got a license for that timeout? Because that's what it feels like. Like, seriously, that is what it feels like. We need permission to do our job. It's pretty crazy. So that's why we're a bit late starting today. Do schools in Canada not have a warning system? They, like, a warning system for, oh shit! Thank you for reminding me about that, Ryan Rawlings. Jesus Christ, why did I not do that? Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now while things are slow moving. Boo on me. Boo on Blind Press. So I have sent Dork Oracle the link. However, I'm not sure if she'll be able to make it because I haven't heard back from her. So we'll see. It's Australia, so it might be midnight when she... Here, there's one new person. Let's give you a roll. There we go. One roll for somebody that just joined. And let's find the next person here, because I saw two joiners. Come on. Where'd you go? So yeah, I've got some. Oh, there's the other person. Add a roll. I'm sorry about that, guys. There we go. I think there were only 2 new people who joined. That one's done. Yeah, okay. There we go, everyone. Sorry about that. We get a morning dose of Dorky. We need her moaning about daddy. Well, for punishments, like if you do something wrong, you get a warning. Then you get punishments if you continue. I don't think so. And either way, they need, like, if he won't go to timeout by himself and they need to physically take him there, they need our permission to put their hands on him to take him there. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Cracked. Hi, Dread Darkwater. You haven't missed any news. You've just missed me ranting about my kid's school. I rarely use Discord, if at all. Yeah. So yeah, I've sent Dorky the link. We'll see if she'll come. If not, we'll try again. But like I said, it is late, and she was on Bear's stream too, so she might have gone to bed. Good morning, Chadwick. So I've got some more stories today. I've got some so a mix of both disability stories and non-disability stories, and 2 of them are updates. Public schools are a joke. I will agree with you on that one. Brad Young says, when I was in school, the paddle was still in use. I know, I'm old. You know what? Some of these kids could use a paddling sometimes. Talking out a turn? That's paddling. Making fun of my mustache? That's a paddling. All right, let's get some news going up here. Oh, and good news. The Dreamcast has been resurrected. It just needed a cleaning, and so Pincalo gave the lens a cleaning and gave the game a cleaning that I was playing, and it's working again. So yay! The Dreamcast is not dead. Hooray! Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to cough in your ear like that. And the mute button for Hangouts is buried in another window while I try and get my news. So let's have a sip of coffee instead. All right. Okay. Yay, says Jacob. Have you heard of the new thing for Dreamcast? It's basically an EverDrive. No. I have not. Huzzah, long live your digital overlord. Now give your feline overlord all the pettings. My feline overlords are hiding and asleep at the moment. Or I would. Let's see here. Which story should we start with? All right, here's a story about why I refuse to have disability placards. Pincalo keeps saying we should have a disability sticker because it would make things easier. And here's a story that will tell you why I don't want that. And it's called, this is out of the UK. It's from the BBC. It says, anger over laziness is not a disability sticker. Now this is a story that kind of sucks for this woman. So we'll let the screen reader read this here.
Heading level 1. Laziness is not disability. Note on blue badge holder's car. November 7th, 2018. Image caption: Emma Gearing and her 4-year-old son. Image copy: Emma Gearing. Image caption: Emma Gearing's 4-year-old son required several pieces of medical equipment. End of image. The mother of a disabled boy has slammed the spineless person who left a nasty note on her car, despite it displaying a valid blue badge.
So yes, there are people who drive who are not disabled, but they have disabled family. So they have a handicap badge. And apparently somebody decided Brad Young says it's this thing in which you remove the disk drive, then install it in your Dreamcast. It uses SD cards. It's good if the drive ever craps out. Interesting. I have never heard of that. I'll have to look into that. That's pretty cool.
The note accusing Emma Gearing, 26, of laziness was left on her car when she was in Maidstone with her son who is fed through his stomach.
Oh, he's got a GI tube. Oh, shit. That sucks.
The note read, using a disabled badge when you don't need it could cost you 2,000 British pounds. How
do you know she didn't need it? Did you see her pulling into the parking lot? Can't get the ROMs anymore to download. They've been gassed. Oh, okay. Is that what that is?
Image caption: Emma Gearing and her 4-year-old son. Image copyright Emma Gearing. Image caption: Emma Gearing's.
There's a lot of freaking.
Image: Emma Gearing's 4-year-old son required several pieces of medical equipment. End of image. The mother of a disabled boy has slammed the spineless person who left a nasty note on her car, despite it displaying a valid blue badge. The note accusing Emma Gearing, 26, of laziness was left on her car when she was in Maidstone with her son who is fed through his stomach. The note read, using a disabled badge when you don't need it could cost you 2,000 British pounds. Mrs. Gearing described the person as gutless and too quick to judge. She told the BBC she had parked in the town on Tuesday afternoon while she visited the doctor and waited to pick up her other son from school.
Okay, so she had a doctor's appointment and then she was picking up her other son from school. And somebody who probably didn't see all the equipment her kid has. Churchy says, I use Discord, Brad Young, but I'm starting to get turned off by it. Too many people there act like high school kids with thin skin. Yeah. Say it ain't so, please, says Brad Young. Yeah, unfortunately, it is so.
When they returned to the car, they found a note. She said, image caption: Mrs. Gearing received the anonymous note while she was parked in Maidstone. Figure. Note left on Emma Gearing's car. Image copyright Emma Gearing. Mrs. Gearing received the anonymous note while she was parked in Maidstone. End of image chat. It read, laziness is not a disability. Using a disabled badge when you don't need it could cost you 2,000 British pounds and permanent removal of your badge. Don't take your good health for granted.
Fuck you. I love these busybody people who just see frickin' handicap badges and assume that the person driving isn't it. See, this Pincalo right here is why I don't want us to have a fucking badge. Because you are you are the only driver of the car, and I'm not with you, like, hardly any. So really, do you want that kind of hassle? Like, seriously, this is what I was talking about. Churchy, I don't like Discord because I had the apps I had the app closed and all of a sudden BTK started talking to me. I don't know how long she was listening. That's fucked.
The mom of two said, when I saw it, I got really upset. They just assumed it was me, but they could have asked me. You are.
Well, they're not going to ask you. Nobody's going to ask you. Because in today's society, you just assume shit.
Advertisement. Great. It upset my 7-year-old as well. People shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. You are currently on a text up.
Yeah, I could see, like, if Logan was sick like that, and Pincalo had Logan and Alex, the Hassie's easy to deal with, but I understand, says Pincalo. Like, could you imagine if Logan, like, or not even Logan, like, if I was with Pincalo and nobody saw me, like, say I had my cane folded up under my arm or something, and somebody put a note on the car saying laziness is not a disability or whatever, like, that would, I'm pretty sure if our kids were old enough to read and or understand that would upset them. Like, because that's his little brother and his mom. Like, kids are protective of their parents. I know we try to teach our kids not to fight well, if you're a good parent, you teach your kids not to fight your battles for you, but kids are going to get upset if they see their parents upset.
Mrs. Gearing said she had not received the note before, but had been verbally abused and blocked in by other drivers who believed she was pretending to be disabled.
Okay, first of all, who decides to play fucking card games? Like, even if she was faking a disability, why would you use your car to block somebody in? Are you fucking pit boys? Like, are you... Like, what the fuck? Come on, that makes no sense. What were you going to do? Block her in and call the cops? Like, why?
I have to show them the peg in my son's stomach to prove it, she added.
Yeah, that's fucked. When you go to show your 4-year-old's fucking feeding tube to people so that they'll fuck off and leave you alone, that's fucked up. You think your 4-year-old enjoys that? Do you think the 4-year-old likes having his stomach shown off to people who are giving his mommy a hard time? That's fucked up. See, I can get just as mad about the other side, too.
Heading level 2, not always obvious. The 4-year-old uses several pieces of medical equipment for a series of conditions including a heart defect, seizures, and an unsafe swallow. After putting a picture of the note on Facebook, Mrs. Gearing said she hoped the person who wrote it would see the post. You are...
Unfortunately, they may not.
She added, to the spineless, heartless living thing who left this note on my car, I hope you can sleep peacefully tonight. You are currently...
Well put. Spineless, gutless, or spineless, heartless living thing. That's great.
Disability Rights UK Deputy Chief Executive Subhat CBE said she recognized the scheme had been abused in the past, but it was not always obvious why someone would need a blue badge. They may have a hidden disability or be the parent of a disabled child, she said. In the last 2 years, the eligibility for a blue badge has been considerably tightened. If someone is using a blue badge now, it is because they genuinely need to do so.
Yeah, I can see, because there are people who will take advantage of it. Blocking someone could be a chargeable offense. I would consider it false imprisonment and file charges, says Churchy. Yeah, you know what? I tend to agree with you. Okay. Brad Young says, blind press, what program do you use to use your PC? I work with a blind man and I'd like to get him something. I actually use a Mac, Brad Young, because Macs come right out of the box with a screen reader programmed and written by Apple, specifically for Apple. And all you need to do is when you turn the computer on for the first time, you just go into the accessibility settings and turn voiceover on, and then it is a talking computer. If you want a PC, if your friend has a PC that doesn't talk, look for NVDA. That's Non-Visual Desktop Assistant. It's a free screen reader program, and it's very robust. So that is, I will, if for a PC, I will always recommend NVDA because it's a free program. It's incredibly robust. It's pretty much just as robust as the $1,500 JAWS for Windows program. So either go for a Mac, or if you don't want to spend the money on a Mac, which I completely understand because they're stupid expensive, a PC with NVDA would be very helpful for him. I hope that helps. Opinionated Scotsman says they won't. Yeah, they won't see that post.
Heading level 2, related topics.
Oh, that's the end of that story. So yeah, a mom got called lazy because her disabled kid is the reason that she has a fucking placard. Because, you know, gotta have busybodies. Gotta have busybodies everywhere. A button is supposed to help the visually impaired. Here's why it doesn't. This is from CBC. It's a little bit older. It's from August. But it's kind of an annoying read. And it bothers. There are parts of it that bother me. Not just because of the blind person, but because of the way it's written and because of the things that have been happening. So let's read this story. It's about Audible Lights. I don't know if how prevalent they are where any of you are, but they are lights that have been installed at intersections that beep. So when you push the button and hold it in long enough, it will activate and beep when the light is green. Because before the invention of Audible Lights, the way a blind person would know when it was safe to cross was by paying attention to traffic signals. So when what we call parallel traffic is moving, that is an indication that it's green light. And when perpendicular traffic is moving, that is an indication that it is a red light. Now, it gets tricky when you get to advanced greens and your parallel traffic is going straight for half the time and then turning, or coming from a different direction because of the advanced green. So auditory lights are a huge, huge help. We've had them in Britain for years. Yeah, we've had them here for a long time too, but they're really cropping up quite more. They're around in a lot more places. And quite frankly, I'm glad. Thank you very much. I'll run it by him. He'll probably go for the NVDA. Yeah, NVDA was great. Before I got my Mac, I used it on Pinkalo's laptop all the time, and it was really good. I highly recommend NVDA. If I were to ever go back to PC, I would not even bother with paying for JAWS for Windows or Window Eyes, which is a different screen reader that still costs about $800 to $900. I would go straight for NVDA. It's a great little program. Select here. Let's here we go. All right, here we go.
Daniel Malukiewicz knows how dangerous it can be for anyone who's visually impaired to cross major intersections in Toronto, but an incident that happened about a month ago really drove it home. The 40-year-old former steelworker, who found out he had retinitis pigmentosa in 2006 and is now blind, was out with his orientation and mobility instructor, Mark Rankin. They were trying to navigate the busy intersection at Dundas Street West and Burnhamthorpe Road near his home. There were a couple of times where me and my guide dog went into traffic, Malukiewicz said Monday.
But why? Why did you go into traffic? What caused you to veer? What caused you? Every traffic light here has them. Oh, nice. It's a little resource heavy. I'm going to put that score from the tech perspective, but it's a good program, says Pincalo. Yeah, it can be resource heavy. It really can. But Pincalo, if you remember how fucking resource heavy Jaws was, do you remember the old Dell laptop I had when Jaws was on and everything else was closed? The computer was like, If I was in Toronto, the only thing I would want to cross is the border. Yeah, you could not pay me to live in Toronto. Fuck that. I will never live in Toronto. Although where I live is pretty damn close to living in Toronto if Toronto keeps fucking expanding the way it is.
Mark had to grab my arm and push me over to the side. That's why I get a little nervous in my area. So I try to avoid that intersection, he said.
Okay, but why did you veer? Were you not aligned properly? Did you trip on something? Why did you end up in traffic? That's all he'd be doing is Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, I can talk, I promise. NVDA will work perfectly well on Facebook and YouTube. Oh my goodness. I should have taken some Dayquil before I did this. I'm 400 miles from Canada. That's close enough. Yeah, well, with the way the country's going, I understand your feelings. Oh, hello, Kitty Stalker.
Mark Rankin, left, is an orientation and mobility instructor who works with Daniel Malukiewicz. Right, Lisa Zing/CBC. Part of Malukiewicz's problem, ironically, stems from the more than 840 accessible pedestrian signals, apps, across the city that were designed for people like him.
But why are they a problem for him?
When the system was first installed, the audible signals came on automatically with the press of the button. But then, after complaints about the noise, the design was changed.
This is true. This has happened. The design has been changed all throughout Canada to where before, if you just pushed the button like you would normally push it to cross the street, the audible lights would come on. Oh, thanks, Brad Young. He says, thanks, Blind Press. You're a pretty cool chick. Well, thank you very much. I try. So at first, people were bitching that the audible lights were too loud and it was noise complaints. But at least in Canada, they were installed originally at busy intersections. So I have no idea why a 15 seconds of beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop is noise pollution when you have cars and buses and trucks going by. But hey, they listened to the public, and now you have to, in order to activate the button, you need to hold the button down for 3 to 5 seconds.
Heading level 2, noise complaints. Now at most intersections, they activate only when someone holds the button down for 3 seconds.
Okay, so?
I know there have been complaints about the audible signals from people living near the intersections, Rankin said. I don't know why it's such a big deal to people.
I don't know either, but that's a moot point because they've already made it so you have to push and hold the button. So, yeah, it's a moot point. It's a stupid moot point, but it's a moot point.
For people like Malukiewicz, it's made the system harder to use.
How is it harder to push and hold a button for 3 seconds? Why? Why is that hard? Holding the button down makes the light change faster. I don't know if they've done something to fix that problem, but
An apps button at an intersection off Yonge Street just north of St. Clair Avenue. Tina, he says he rarely has trouble finding the button, which emits a locator tone. You are currently...
They do. If you've ever been out walking and you pass a light and you happen to notice that it's very softly going boop, 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 that's for blind people to find the button. My girl says I better hit the button for more 5 seconds. I hold it for 5.
But the buttons are on the left side of the crossing, the same side as guide dog is on, which makes it hard for him to reach. Once he does locate it.
Okay, not all buttons are on the buttons are going to be wherever the intersection is. They're not always going to be on the left. Sometimes they're on the left, sometimes they're on the right. It depends on where you're crossing.
He finds it hard to reorient himself to cross, but the buttons are on the left side of the crossing, the same side as guide dog is on, which makes it hard for him to reach. Okay, so here's my question. And this is something that I could be wrong about, and I will, if I get accepted to the guide dog school, which by the way I applied yesterday, so hopefully I find oh, have a good day, Churchy. Thanks for stopping by. So I could be wrong about this because I have never had a guide dog before, and I may find out that this is something that is impossible, but to me, why would you not tell your dog to sit, transfer the harness and leash to your right hand for 10 seconds, step around the back of your dog, because the dog will follow your command until you give it another command. I've seen blind and a blind person and a guide dog team working before. I know this. You tell your dog sit, you put the harness and leash in your other hand, you step around the back of your dog, you push the button, then you step back to where you were before, and you and your dog align and get ready to cross the street. Why is this? Hi, Vanilla Bear. Where's Michelle? Where is he? I don't know. Maybe he's boxing. Gotta go too. Gotta drive the old man to get one of those goofy fake fireplaces. See you later, Brad Young. I get disoriented, he told CBC Toronto. Usually, both corners beep at the same time, so I get confused whether I'm going east, west, or north.
What are you talking about? Both corners beep at the same time. What? Okay, when you activate the light, you don't activate both. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Okay, first of all, the buttons on the Audible Lights are in the shapes of arrows. And wherever the arrow is pointing is where you're going to cross the street. Let me check. It says at the very top of the article, Pincalo. Let me quickly check here. Where is it here? If it's a primary thing for CBC to make the site accessible, then why the fuck is it not a? I lost the story because of their stupid closed captioning thing that they were telling us about. I just want to find the fucking. Okay. Dundas and Burnham Thorpe, honey. Okay, let's continue here.
Usually, both corners beep at the same time, so I get confused whether I'm going east, west, or north, south, he said.
Okay, but they don't beep at the same time, dude. You have to activate whichever light you're crossing. Oh, for fuck's sakes, both sides are timed differently so they don't play at the same time. Exactly, Kitty Stalker. Exactly. You cannot, that is not how that works. Either your orientation and mobility instructor is teaching you something completely ass backwards, or you're like completely oblivious and you think that the echo of the because they will the sound will bounce back and forth between the light that you have activated and the corresponding light pole on the other side. Okay, so either he's counting that echo as the other light for the other side of the street is beeping, which means you're a fucking retard, or he asked his O&M instructor what that was, and his O&M instructor told him it was the light for the other leg of the street crossing, in which case that's a shit orientation instructor.
Heading level 2. The locator tone is great, if you can hear it. There are other problems stemming from rising noise levels in Toronto, says Debbie Gillespie, 64, with the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, CNIB. She's working with the city to find solutions. The locator tone is great, if you can hear it, Gillespie said Friday, shouting over the heavy traffic and construction at the northeast corner of St. Clair Avenue and Yonge Street.
St. Clair and Yonge. Yeah, Toronto's a noisy spot. Should the locator tones be turned up? Probably. But you know what? I will tell you right now, I've been on the phone with Pincalo when he's been driving in Toronto in the summertime. So he's had his windows down, and I've heard him drive by Audible Lights that haven't been activated, and I've heard the locator tone through the open window on his Bluetooth headset. So don't tell me they're not loud, because they're loud.
Gillespie has been visually impaired all her life and gets around with the help of a guide dog. Debbie Gillespie, the CNIB's lead for built environment and transit advocacy, says rising noise levels in the city are making it harder for visually impaired people to safely navigate. Tina McKenzie/CBC, but she says even she has challenges because street noise in Toronto has risen sharply in the last 5 years from higher volumes of traffic and the downtown construction boom.
Higher volumes of traffic? Well, good writing there, Tina McKenzie of the CBC. Higher volumes of traffic. Okay.
In an environment such as this, it's difficult to even know if an apps is there. They actually do have what is known as a locator tone, but in an environment such as we're standing in right now, you might not hear that.
I will give them that. If you're in Toronto, the locator tones for the lights should be higher than in other cities. She probably also has hearing problems. And don't forget the little box that uses 6 different tones for different things, you fucking moron. Yeah, depending on which, if you're going to cross one side of the street, the light will do a one type of beeping, and then when you go to cross the next leg of the intersection, it will beep completely differently. So, yeah.
Heading level 2, key to access. Gillespie says there is a high-tech solution to the problems app systems pose, patented by an Ottawa-based startup called Key to Access in 2016. It doesn't replace cities' current app systems. Instead, it connects with and complements them. You are currently on a YouTube content. The Key to Access product employs 2 pieces of technology, Gillespie said. One, she says, is a key fob people can carry. The fob has buttons they can press to activate the signals themselves. It also comes in the form of a smartphone app.
Okay, does anyone else see problems with this? You expect people to have a key fob that they can activate the lights themselves? What is so hard? If you have good orientation and mobility skills, then you should be able to find a light pole, not just by listening for it, but by shorelining, which is what you use for, like, if you've got a cane or even your dog, you can learn how to shoreline with a dog. Your shoreline is what is known as, like, it'll be either, if you're walking on the right hand side of the sidewalk away from the road, it'll be the grass line or whatever is right beside the sidewalk. And if you're on the left, closer to the road, it's going to be the boulevard that you're shorelining on. So it's more than just for hearing. Like, you blind people don't just listen really well when they go about their daily lives, particularly for this reason. If you live in a busy city, you need to use your other fucking orientation skills to find things. Exactly, Ryan. That's what happens here. It's a different beeping pattern.
Either way, the user doesn't have to go searching for a button by the side of the road, and it's free.
If it's free, then how are you going to make sure that it's maintained properly? And how much are these key fobs going to be? You expect them to be free too? Nobody's going to make this stuff for free, you fool. You come and take a look at what some of the technology that's available for blind people is for literacy and shit. You're going to tell me that they're going to do this shit for free? No, that's not going to happen. Nice utopian thought there, but that's not going to happen.
You can still hear the signal being activated. Gillespie said, you do not have to go off your line of travel to activate the button and then realign yourself with the crossing.
Okay, but so you want people to stop knowing how to align to cross streets. What are you going to do when you take away the need for that skill, which is, yes, most prevalent for street crossings, but also very, very helpful for, I don't know, parking lots, open spaces that don't have good shorelines, practicality. Hello. Jesus Christ, you lazy fucks. Nothing is free, says opinionated Scotsman. Yeah, exactly. Why do you want people to lose a skill? That's what this sounds like. Lining up to find the light is too hard. You know what? We've been doing it for years. This sounds like you guys both have really shitty O&M instructors. Honestly, it really does. Like, I could see this key fob being helpful for deafblind people, perhaps. But again, I don't see it being free. How are you supposed to maintain and update the infrastructure of the app if it's free? Who's going to have any motivation to do, like, this guy reminds me of the idiots that want Braille taken off the books because it's obsolete because of computers. Yeah. Pincalo, yeah. You're not wrong. Well, the technology is there, so we should stop having to line up and find buttons. Why do you want to take your skills away? Why? Why do you want to be helpless? What happens when and if fucking the technology goes down? What happens if the key fobs aren't working, or the signals aren't working, or your cell phone isn't working and your app's not working? And you've stopped trying to align to find the light pole, so you don't know how to fucking do it anymore, and you wander out into oncoming fucking traffic. Are you serious?
Heading level 2. What the city is doing. Keep 2 Access is running pilot projects in Ottawa, Montreal, Brossard, and Winnipeg. But things haven't progressed to that stage yet in Toronto. In an email to CBC Toronto Monday, the city said it is working with stakeholders like the CNIB to study issues with its app system and is investigating the latest technological advances. List 1 item. You are bullet link. End of list 1 item. Bullet end of part of this investigation includes looking at cellular or free onboard key technology to remotely push the button and provide additional safety information to the visually impaired to improve the safety of their walking experience. Eric Holmes of the city's strategic communications department wrote in the email.
Additional safety information. Hi, Goatman. What additional safety information? We already have enough stuff that we have to figure out and keep in our minds while we're walking. We don't need extra extraneous information. Who's going to decide what information is necessary?
To access provides a fob people can carry to activate the pedestrian crossing signals themselves rather than trying to find a button at the intersection. It also comes in the form of a smartphone app, Android/CBC. This initiative is also in the preliminary stages whereby we are in dialogue with vendors and stakeholders on a possible pilot project. Meantime, Loisence continues to work at mastering the task of crossing the city's major intersections, a complicated process that Rankin says can typically take between 3 months to a year and a half to 2 years to learn. You are...
What? Okay, either I am like a phenomenally good traveler or most... What? 3 months to a year and a half to 2 years to learn how many intersections? Like is he describing learning how to do different street, like is this O&M instructor describing the initial training of learning to identify the different types of street crossings and learning how to make the snap decision on the go as to which one you are at? And like that, yes, takes some time. But the way that that's worded, 2 fucking years to learn how to cross the street. I hate these people, says Pingalo. Yeah, could you imagine, honey, if it took me 2 years to learn how to get somewhere? I think that's the end of that story. So let's, oh, excuse me. Let's move on. Oh, here's one that I found this morning just on Google. How a team at Google is using AI to help doctors prevent blindness in diabetics. Skynet is going to help us determine whether you're going blind or not. Yay! Blind Press has the plague, run away before she turns into a zombie. Only 2 years? Talk about slow. Yeah, I know, right?
Google research scientist Baron Gulshan was looking for a project that would meet a few criteria. The project would utilize Gulshan's background developing artificial intelligence AI algorithms and stimulate his interest in science and medicine. And ideally, the project would help people in Gulshan's home country of India.
So he was just randomly looking for a project that he might like. Okay. This bodes well.
I had started thinking a lot about working on more fundamental problems. I wanted to use image recognition for something that would benefit society. Baron Gulshan, Google research scientist. He fired off an email to Phil Nelson, director of Link, Google Accelerated Science, asking if there was such a project in the works. A few weeks later, Gulshan was opening a digital drive containing hundreds of anonymized retina scans from a hospital in India. Nelson thought he had a project for Gulshan, but first he needed to know, could an artificial intelligence model learn to identify which of these images showed signs of a specific cause of blindness, a disease called diabetic retinopathy? You are current. This was like a perfect skill set match for me, says Gulshan, whose background was working with AI to recognize hand gestures. When I looked at these images, I could tell that, okay, deep learning is kind of working well enough, he says. We could really use it on these problems.
Deep learning is kind of working well enough? What a ringing endorsement. Seriously, what a ringing endorsement. Deep learning is kind of doing well enough. I hope that this is because English may not be his first language, because that's a bad endorsement.
Heading level 2, a growing concern. With 70 million people with diabetes, India has a growing problem with diabetic retinopathy. The disease creates lesions in the back of the retina that can lead to total blindness, and 18% of diabetic Indians already have the ailment. With 415 million diabetics at risk for blindness worldwide, the United States, China, and India have the most cases. The disease is a global concern. 18% video playback of the 70 million people with diabetes in India have the ailment. But the good news is that permanent vision loss is not inevitable. For those who are diagnosed early enough, medications, therapies, exercise, and a healthy diet are highly effective treatments for preventing further damage.
Yep.
Heading level 2. The challenges. Awareness is a huge issue with diabetic retinopathy. Many diabetic patients assume that early signs of the disease are simply minor vision problems. According to Dr. Rajiv Raman, a retina surgeon at Sankara Nethralaya Eye Hospital in Chennai, India, with no word in Hindi for retina, just talking about the disease is a challenge. For cataracts we have a word. For glaucoma we have a word in Hindi as well as in Tamil. But diabetic retinopathy there is no translational word. Dr. Raman says.
How can I have a question. How can a place so old as India, where language and writing basically came from, not have a word for retina, but they have one for glaucoma and cataracts? And what? Weird. Just weird.
A photograph of Dr. Rajiv, Chennai, India. But while an ophthalmologist can explain the disease and how regular exams will monitor its progress, the real difficulty is getting at-risk patients a retinal exam in the first place. For rural communities worldwide, the prevalence of late-stage diabetic retinopathy has more to do with infrastructure than medicine. The journey from home to the nearest specialist can be long, and keeping multiple appointments is often very difficult. Many of the rural patients have an advanced stage of diabetic retinopathy, but they don't know they are diabetics. It is often impossible for patients in poverty with dependents to also care for themselves. Instead, they will carry on until the effects of diabetic retinopathy become too bad to ignore, which is often too late. Many of the rural patients have an advanced stage of diabetic retinopathy, but they don't know they are diabetics, says Dr. Sheila John, head of teleophthalmology at Sankara Nethralaya. They are losing sight. In some of the cases, they have lost vision in one eye, and the other eye we have to save. You are currently on a patient stand in a line outside of Sankara Nethralaya Eye Hospital. Image. Patients waiting at Chennai, India. Patients waiting outside of Sankara Nethralaya Eye Hospital. Heading level 2. Assembling the team. The biggest challenge with diagnosing diabetic retinopathy, however, is the sheer number of cases. India alone has 70 million diabetics who must be screened, and there just aren't enough trained clinicians to review their retinal scans. You are currently on a text element. We need to screen patients early on, when their vision is still good. You are currently on, but it simply isn't feasible for specialists to open practices in rural areas where only a few patients may reside. According to Dr. Kim, Chief Medical Officer at Aravind Eye Hospital in Madurai, India, we need to screen them early on, when their vision is still good. So how do we do that? Dr. Kim asks, because it's not humanly possible to screen these 70 million. Profile image of Florence T. Product Manager. Profile image of Philip Nelson. Director, Google Accelerated Sciences. Profile image of Peter Well.
Okay. This is not as fun as I thought it was. So they're basically using AI to help people in India screen diabetic retinopathy patients. I'm trying to figure out how long it's going to take before the AI decides that an image is not the all right. We're going to do a couple more stories because I ran late and I got no kids with me, so we'll just keep going until my voice gives out. And it looks like Dorky won't be joining us, which kind of sucks. So, let's see here. I applaud the push for accessibility, but I won't be using jazz hands. This is another British story. Sounds like it's a blog post. Okay.
Heading level 1. I applaud the push for accessibility, but I won't be using jazz hands. Link. Alex Lee. Inaudible clapping excludes blind people like me. The answer could be to repeat events, tailoring them to different needs. You are current.
What?
Link. Add link, heading 808, heading level 3, shares. 8, event link, image, event, end of, events need to be accessible for everyone. Sign language users raise their hands to applaud the speaker. Photograph, gate, end of, events need to go. End Tuesday, Manchester University Students' Union. Link, passed a motion encouraging students to swap. Audible clapping for British Sign Language, BSL, clapping or jazz hands, to make its democratic events more accessible to disabled people. I didn't balk at the decision, as many. Link, right-wing journalists and users of social media did, especially considering it's not a new concept. However, I did have an issue with it being advertised as a decision made on the grounds of accessibility. For a blind person, inaudible clapping is anything but accessible.
Yeah, because it was just right-wing journalists that took umbrage to it. It had nothing to... Why do you have to make this about fucking politics? Right? It wasn't just right-wing journalists that were saying this is stupid. It was people in the center, like, you disingenuous fop.
Complimentary. As the debate continues to rage, I'm going to choose to endorse the desk knock or the quiet lap tap.
Excuse me? Excuse me? The desk knock or the quiet lap tap? And here I was about ready to get behind this guy.
End of complimentary. When I was at university, I remember attending a meeting where we were organizing a demonstration. Instead of clapping to show appreciation for ideas and thoughts that we approved of, we were instead encouraged to adopt the BSL applause. After some time, I came to the slow realization that I wouldn't truly be able to take part in the meeting because I couldn't see people shaking their hands around, while my friend came to the rescue by whispering in my ear whenever jazz hands were being fluttered up in the air or down by the floor. I felt undeniably isolated. It fooled my anxiety, rather than tempering it as the adopt BSL clap was supposed to do. How was I supposed to know how people were reacting to something I had said? You are...
So
Much of the backlash has been centered around link, consensus feminist jazz hands, common snowflake students, PC culture and illiberal bands, although the union link has not banned clapping. God, that's not what I'm saying. Moving towards a world where everything is accessible is no bad thing. In fact, it's a great thing. And unions that are adopting these policies have noble intentions. Opposition to accessibility is a surefire way to further isolate disabled people. What I am saying is that events need to be accessible for everyone. And we can't do that by including one group and then excluding another.
Okay, but clapping is not excluding. Clapping is not excluding disabled people. No one is saying that deaf people cannot use fucking sign language. This is because this has to do with saying that some people can't handle loud noises. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but the world is loud, and when you venture out into the world, people are going to be It's not like people are clapping right in your face and screaming at you. Like, come on.
I don't want to pit the blind community against those with other sensory impairments. God knows we need more solidarity among the disabled rather than division. But we're always going to have accessibility issues, many of which are completely incompatible with one another.
Yes, exactly. So why bother? Clapping is not a fucking accessibility issue.
Complimentary. I don't want to pit the blind community against those with other sensory impairments. God knows we need more solidarity among the disabled rather than division. But we're always going to have accessibility issues, many of which are completely incompatible with one another. Some institutions, however, have already solved the catch-22 by catering the same event to people with differing accessibility needs. You are currently on a text...
Wait, so catering the same event to people with different accessibility needs, please tell me that doesn't mean having the same event for 5,000 different groups?
Complimentary. 3000 JPG, heading level 1. Why do gyms make things so difficult for blind people? Clickable. Read more. Link. Why end up? Take some cinema outlets that provide audio described, captioned and autistic-friendly screenings of the latest films for people with various disabilities to enjoy. That's making things accessible. Having both lifts and stairs. That's making things accessible. Some think the answer lies in the quiet finger click. In 2015, Catherine Rosman Link wrote in the New York Times that finger clicking had become a new way of signaling quiet agreement or appreciation at conferences and in university lecture theaters. And while that would work for me, it again wouldn't work for everyone.
No, because everyone is different. So just fucking suck it up and clap your hands. Do you see how I'm clapping my hands? Am I being obnoxious by how loudly I'm clapping? No, I'm still clapping though. The sound of 1,000 asses clapping. Jazz hands still excludes people with no arms. Yeah, exactly. always going to exclude someone.
I'm not going to pretend I have the universal solution to this. Some would argue, inconsequential snowflakey conundrum, especially for student union-based democratic events. But tailoring events to their respective audiences and speakers is a good place to start. And if events need to be run more than once, then so be it. Run them twice. But in the meantime, as the debate continues to...
So, you're in favor of segregating different parts of the disabled community so that events can be run over and over again. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm hearing right now?
Bullet Alex Lee is a freelance writer with interests in tech, culture, and politics. The text element.
Well, that's nice. That was a stupid fucking nothing. Wow. Okay, do you remember the paraplegic guy from Luton who was suing Luton Airport? Justin Levy, Luton Airport. Paraplegic man to drop legal action. I wonder why.
On the main is heading level 1. Paraplegic man who dragged himself through airport to drop legal action. By Clive Coleman. Legal correspondent. November 8, 2018. Collapse. Media caption. This is page 060. Justin Levine said the airport couldn't provide an adequate wheelchair last August. Frame. You are currently on media caption. You are this end of media. This is how the BBC first reported Justin Levine's story. Luton Airport says it's now upgraded its facilities. You are a paraplegic athlete who. You are link. Dragged himself through the arrivals terminal at Luton Airport. Says he is dropping his legal action as the airport has improved their disabled facilities. Do
you see? You could have fucking written a letter. You didn't have to fucking sue. Honestly, a nothing burger. Yeah. You could have written letters. Honestly, the one person you might have actually had legal action against was the Moldova airport for leaving your wheelchair behind, thus forcing you to have this argument with the Luton airport. But to sue the Luton airport after they were trying to help you, that was fucking bullshit. And kudos to Luton for updating their facilities. But this guy, I really don't. And he's probably going to think that he did this by threatening to sue them.
Justin Levine's self-propelling wheelchair was left behind on a flight in the incident last August. He was offered a rigid high-back chair but refused, as he felt it removed his independence. Luton Airport now says it has 10 self-propelled wheelchairs. As well as the chairs, based permanently at the airport. The airport says its provisions include. List 2 items. Black square, a loan replacement system whereby it lends people equipment, such as wheelchairs, free of charge, as well as organizing and funding the returns process. 1 of 2. Black square, where it has pre-notification of a requirement for very specialized mobility equipment. It has an arrangement in place with the local disability resource center who will assist the airport in sourcing such items. 2 of 2. End of list. Heading level 2. Never about money. You are
bullshit.
Mr. Levine, an international wheelchair athlete, trainer and mentor to disabled athletes, said, if Luton now has self-propelling wheelchairs and a loan system in case of loss or damage to a wheelchair, then I'm delighted with this outcome. This was never about money. It was about trying to get a change in policy. You are currently on a text.
So then there are plenty of things that you could have done before suing. Like, yes, you're dropping your suit and it helped. Like they've updated their facility, but like you didn't have to go. Like this is my problem with disabled people is they think that the way to get shit done is to automatically jump to the lawsuit stage. And then they wonder why nobody wants to help us. Well, because they're afraid of getting fucking sued if they do the wrong thing. That's why.
I am happy to drop my legal claim because Luton has taken on board my concerns and improved their disabled facilities for the better. Image caption. Justin Levine's just image copyright. Just image caption. Just end of image, as well as fears about independence. Mr. Levine, from North London, was concerned about pressure source from using a rigid high-back chair.
But you were just sitting in a fucking airplane and then you went to a taxi. Why would you get pressure sores from sitting in a rigid chair for 10 minutes while they pushed you to your taxi? That still bothers me.
List 3 items. Black square. Link. BBC slash end of list. He had herniated a disc when he was 20 and a subsequent operation to fix the problem went wrong, leaving him paralyzed below the waist and reliant on his self-propelling wheelchair.
Well, then he should have had...
He said, I hope that media coverage has helped raise awareness of issues around the mobility needs of disabled travelers. We simply want to get from A to B with as much dignity and independence as possible. Paralympian Baroness Tammy Gray Thompson told ITV's Good Morning Britain that the result Mr. Levine had achieved was amazing. This is the reality for a lot of disabled people. You get left on planes. You get left for sometimes a couple of hours, she said. Last week I decided to crawl off a train because it didn't appear that anyone was coming to get me. You are currently on a tech. Mr. Levine's experience has prompted disabled people to...
Okay, but how are you independent if you're expecting people to come and get you? I don't understand. How did you get on the train? Did you have help getting on the train? And how long did you have to wait before you got on the train?
When Mr. Levine's story was covered by the BBC on Friday, Luton Airport said in a statement, on discovering that Mr. Levine's flight had arrived without his wheelchair, our teams worked hard to find a solution, offering Mr. Levine an assisted wheelchair as a temporary replacement. Mr. Levine declined all offers of help as he deemed them unacceptable. While we apologize if Mr. Levine was dissatisfied with the service he received, we are satisfied that our agents and staff did all they could in difficult circumstances. Heading level 2, related topics.
They did do all they could in difficult circumstances. And then they updated their facility. Wondering how stupid people think hurts my brain. I agree, Goat Man. I completely agree. Oh my goodness. I think my voice is about to give out. No, we're not going to read that. Pensioner questioned as hate criminal after beeping car horn at black driver. Should we read that one or should we read... Oh, let's read about how they help. I found a kind of a feel-good story. If anything, you should be praising the airport. Yeah. Agreed. So I found a really interesting story about how they help train some school helps train guide dogs, and this headline is called "A Final Proving Ground for Guide Dogs to the Blind, Midtown Manhattan." That's a good fucking proving ground, if you ask me. Midtown Manhattan, yeah. A German Shepherd. Ooh, that would be awesome. I wonder what school is using training a German Shepherds.
Media, Imus, a German Shepherd, and his new master, Kathy Fall, 73, a blind woman from Pennsylvania, on a training trek in Manhattan. Credit, dates, end of, media, sections, navigation, link, skip to link, use, a school for seeing, heading level 1, a final proving ground for guide dogs to the blind, Midtown Manhattan. New York, a school for seeing eye dogs uses the chaos of New York City as its ultimate test when matching young dogs with their masters. Imus, Dave Sanders for the New York Times. By, link, Corey Kilgannon. November 6, 2018. No social media. Imus, a youthful German Shepherd, was trying to make his way across a frenetic Manhattan intersection near Central Park and found himself facing down all sorts of projectiles, yellow cabs, bike messengers, pedicabs, as a deafening truck horn blasted and a traffic light changed against him. But Imus was not negotiating this chaotic scene while out for an afternoon stroll. He was safeguarding his new master, Kathy Fall, 73, a blind woman from Swarthmore. Both were relative strangers to New York City, but they had ventured into Manhattan expressly for moments like this, to experience its particular brand of street-level chaos, as the culmination of a thorough course of training by. You are currently on a link, the Seeing Eye. A guide dog school in Morristown, New Jersey, founded in 1929. It is the nation's oldest training school for dogs and one of the largest of its kind. It even holds the trademark for the phrase Seeing Eye. You are currently...
Okay. See, that would be really cool. Like, those dogs are trained so well, shows how smart they really are. Goatman, you are completely correct. Not sure how much more retard I can take this morning. Yeah, that's why I'm gonna end with this story, because Like, especially since I applied for the guide dog yesterday, and I'm really, really excited about it. I wanted to read this story today. I applied to the school called Guiding Eyes for the Blind, and that's based out of New York. But they do have people that come into Canada and help train in home, and I'm hoping to be accepted to that program because I just can't leave my family for a month to go and do the residential training. And I would really, really like I hope that I can get accepted before the dead of winter, because I would love to do my training in the winter time, because winter is the hardest travel time for me. Always good to end with a good news story, says Scotsman. I agree.
Advertisement. The school's training is done in a suburban setting far calmer than Midtown Manhattan, an hour's drive away. But for its ultimate challenge, and to assess a dog's focus, trainers take the student dog pairs into Manhattan as something of a proving ground.
And that's a good idea. That's a very good idea, because who knows where they're going to be when they go home. Like, will the guide dog team live in a busy city? Will they live in New York? Will they live in a place like Toronto? Will they live in LA? That's a great proving ground.
Media group. Image. Ozma, a guide dog, and her new master, Val G, 26, from Dayton, Ohio, navigated 7th Avenue in Manhattan. They were assisted by an instructor, Kristen Oplinger, left. Credit. Dave said in the media, there's no more intense place than New York City to train the dogs. It's the craziest environment they've ever been in, said Brian O'Neill, a CNI trainer. At the end of the training, the idea is, okay, they know the basics. Now can they handle the grind of the city?
And that's a great way to test it. And it also tests whether the dog can stay focused. Because it's very important. You want your dog to stay focused and not get distracted because he's guiding you, right? So this is a great way to prove and make sure that the dogs are ready and that the student is ready. That's a brilliant idea.
You have 4 free articles remaining.
I have 4 free articles remaining, says the New York Times.
I'm half scared to find out. Miss Paul and another blind woman, Val G, 26, had arrived in a van to experience these extreme urban conditions, along with their dogs. I'm half scared, half so excited, said Miss Paul, gripping the stiff leather handle strapped to us. But I figure, like the song says, if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. Making it here involves navigating obstacles and potential hazards, from potholes to work zones to throngs of distracted pedestrians, not to mention the traffic madness Miss Paul was now experiencing, which included a close encounter between Inez and a horse and buggy.
Oh, God. Good on that dog for keeping it cool, though. Holy moly.
Complimentary. Heading level 2. Sign up for the New York Beach. Sign up. End of advertisement. Third party. To their credit, Miss Paul and Inez remained calm. She nudged Inez back on course, so he could let her to the curb safely. Media group. Image. Even for dogs and owners who do not live in large cities, urban training can help prepare them for chaotic situations, such as shopping malls or carnivals.
Yep.
Credit. Date and the media. They had begun a route in a rooftop parking lot above the Port Authority bus terminal, the starting point of a loop plotted specifically to get them the best distractions, said Miss Paul's trainer, Kristen DeMarco. After squeezing into a packed elevator, they were soon slipping through subway turnstiles and being led by their dogs through crowds of commuters. They braved a packed stairway to the train platform, while being jostled by crowds.
I would hate, subways and shit. Holy fuck. That's, what a way to go for the training,
The dogs remain calm on the subway platform, despite the clatter of passing trains and the blare of announcements. She keeps her focus really well, Miss G said, patting Ozma, a retriever mix.
Aww.
For Miss G, a psychotherapist from Dayton, Ohio, this was only her second time in New York City, after visiting as a 19-year-old when being paired with her first guide dog, which she recently retired. You are current.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about when you retire your dog, you can choose to keep them as a pet, or you can find a home with your family. A lot of people do that. They find homes with family or friends so that they can still come and see the dog, because it's hard for a working dog when it's retired to understand that it's not working anymore. And they can get kind of sad when they see the new dog coming and helping. So it's sometimes easier on the dog to go with a close friend or family member so that you can still see them, but they don't have to feel like they're being like replaced.
This is quite different from Dayton, said Miss G, who, with her instructor, Kristen Offlinger, boarded an uptown C train and sat next to a sleeping passenger, while Ozma curled up under the seat. Complimentary. Heading level 2. Editor's picks. Link. Third party ad conflict advertisement. Third party media. Group image. Miss Ball and Innes braved a packed stairway to the train platform while being jostled by crowds. Credit. At Columbus, it would be at Columbus Circle. They headed up the escalator to the street. The first test was neither traffic nor pedestrian related, but rather a tiny dog that was being walked nearby and intrigued Innes.
Oh dear.
It would be the first of many tests of the dog's concentration. There would also be countless new smells, from well-visited fire hydrants to aromatic street vendors. The sidewalks themselves were obstacle courses, with open basement doors creating gaping shaftways. There were gridlocked intersections, fluttering pigeons and jackhammers loud enough to interfere with dog owner communication. You are currently
New York. I've never been, but what a good place to prove the dog's training, because wow, like New York is synonymous with just busy. So yeah.
Columbus Circle was flooded with lunchtime crowds. The first challenge was the traffic rotary. The dogs stopped at the curb, as they were trained, and both Miss Ball and Miss G listened to the flow of traffic to detect if the cars had stopped for the light. Then each gave her dog the forward command and proceeded to cross. The dogs received 4 months of training at the CNI, learning to guide around obstacles and obey commands, as well as street crossing skills, including how to watch for traffic and keep their handlers safe from vehicles that might be turning or running lights. Media, group, image. She keeps her focus really well. Mid credit. Dates, end of meet advertisement. Third party dogs. Officials with the CNI said they pair roughly 260 dogs each year with blind people living in the United States and Canada. Most live in suburban environment, largely because of public transportation, walkability and other services, and a handful live in New York City. You are currently on. Dogs who do not prefer an urban setting can be paired with owners who tend not to be city goers. Owners train alongside their dogs while boarding at the school for several weeks. Their stay culminates with the trip to Manhattan.
Yeah, most guide dog schools you have to board at the school for a few weeks, which is why I'm going through Guiding Eyes, because of their in-home training program, which is a 15-day program. Because when my dad passed, my mom's dog laid on his bed with his head on his pillow. He did that for about 2 months. Oh, dogs know. They know. They're great animals.
Why not exactly a test? Manhattan's conditions present the dog with intense conditions that can help reveal training aspects to work on.
You mean it's not exactly a test? It's exactly a test.
It's a training experience that offers more than anywhere else we can take them, said Dave Johnson, Director of Instruction and Training at the CNI. Almost anything can happen in one day in New York. It's a culmination of sensory overload, even for humans. The dogs partnered with Miss Ball and Miss G were handling it all pretty well. They wove through pedestrians like a slalom course. Like harried New Yorkers, the dogs seemed stymied by slow-walking tourists. They hushed up to them and waited for a narrow opening to let their owners pass. You are currently on.
Yeah, dogs walk really fast, which is another reason why I want one, because I'm a very fast traveler. I actually have, your cane is supposed to be, dogs are better than people, says Opinionated Scotsman. Yeah, some of them are. They tend to want your cane to be no higher than chin level. And I have a much longer cane. My cane's like 58 inches long because I walk so fast.
Media, group, image. Miss G was helped by Miss Offlinger and she tried to coax Ozma onto an escalator inside the Port Authority bus terminal.
Yeah, some dogs really don't like escalators. I read a post from a blind girl who had to actually retire her dog because she just got too nervous around things like escalators, and she lived in Boston. So there was a lot of escalators for her to have to navigate, and she ended up having to retire her guide dog, who became a therapy dog, and she had to go back and get another dog. Sometimes that happens.
Credit. Date end of meet. She's so smooth about it, said Miss G, who began losing her vision in early childhood because of a genetic disorder. Advertisement. You need to have. Miss Ball said she was happy with Innes's confidence. You need to have that gumption, said Miss Ball, a retired computer programmer who lost her sight in a car accident while in college. When I felt him go through those people, I knew he was a New Yorker.
Aww.
Ahead was a hot dog cart whose vendor was playing Middle Eastern music. Miss G avoided the cart but hit her head on a plastic sign that was hanging off it. She circled Ozma back to remind him to see obstacles at eye level. You are currently on a text. Ahead with visited link. Guiding Eyes for the Blind in Yorktown Heights, NY, in Westchester County, and the link. Guide Dog Foundation. In Smithtown, NY, on Long Island, also train dogs in Manhattan. Many other schools train dogs.
Guiding Eyes for the Blind. That's the one that I'm going
In
for.
Smith, many other schools train dogs in urban environments, but New York stands apart, said Marian Gwizdula, president of the National Association of Guide Dog Users. Most cities, he said, don't have the hustle and bustle of Midtown Manhattan. Media, group, image. The dogs receive 4 months of training at the Sea Cred Dave Sander end of me. Even for dogs and owners who do not visit cities, urban training can help prepare them for chaotic situations, such as shopping malls or carnivals, he added. As Miss Paul and Miss G headed along 7th Avenue, the dogs guided them around. Link. Scaffolding supports that partially blocked sidewalk. And around a work zone. The dogs looped around a Coca-Cola truck blocking a crosswalk and later avoided a yellow cat that swooped around a corner toward them. Advertisement. There were moments for instruction, too, as when it suddenly made a sharp right toward the open door of the perfume store. The dogs would soon get used to such distractions, Miss DeMarco said. For now, Miss Paul pulled him back on course. You are.
Yeah, I would get fucking fooled by a perfume store too, doggy. It's all good. Perfume stores are terrible.
As visual as Times Square is, with its billboards and swarm of activity, Miss Paul said that its oral energy was also impressive. I feel like I'm in a carnival city, she said. All the noise, all the beeps, all the people, the different languages you hear. The noise echoes off the buildings. It's like being at Mardi Gras. Crowds of people.
Mardi Gras. Screw you, voiceover. It's Mardi Gras.
Everywhere. They walked by the PKTS booth selling theater tickets and headed past Broadway theaters. Miss G praised the way Ozma ignored the blaring sirens and kept her away from creeping toward buses and rumbling dump trucks. She seems to focus even better in the chaos, she said, adding that there was only one problem. She's going to be disappointed when we go home.
Aww.
Follow Corey Kilgannon on Twitter.
Oh my goodness. And that's the end of that story. I was glad to end with a story like that. I figured that would show you guys kind of what they do for guide dog training. If I do get accepted, like I said, I don't know if I am or not. I just applied yesterday. But if I do, I will definitely be doing some videos and stuff about what I've had to do for training and all that stuff. So that should be fun. And I think we're going to wrap it up here because my voice is going to shit and I'm out of coffee. So thanks you guys for coming and listening to me. Too bad Dork Oracle couldn't show up. She might have gone and fallen asleep because, like I said, it's late in Australia and she was on Bear's stream. So, but yeah, we'll try and get her on again. Thanks everyone for coming in and hanging out with me today. The Star Trek stream is back up for tomorrow night. I've got to watch Enterprise, the pilot episode of Enterprise still, but I'll probably get that watched today. So yeah, we will be doing that at 10 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. And since the Dreamcast is not dead, the Blind and the Special will carry on Sunday night. And I will be unlocking Shaquille O'Neal on Ready to Rumble because I got through the number 4 use of Boris Knock him off, so I only has to use him one more time to unlock Shaq. I've been trying to there are, like, you have to use the same character certain amounts of times to unlock new characters. So I've been playing the I like to listen while I do last night's dishes and while the coffee brews. Well, I'm glad. I'll see you later, Opinionated Scotsman. I hope everyone had a good day. I hope everyone enjoyed the articles I had for you. So we will see you guys tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern for the Blind and the for the Star Trek stream. Sorry, and we'll see you on Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for the Blind and the Special. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. And please consider donating to the Streamlabs link or becoming a patron. Sorry. If you like my content and you want to support the channel that way. So we will catch you guys tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have an amazing day, guys. And stay safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow night.